Welcome to BrewTok, where your favorite cup of coffee meets science, stories, and surprising truths. If you've ever wondered why your morning brew sends you straight to the bathroom, you're in the right place. Hit that like button, grab your mug, and let's plunge into the piping hot truth behind why coffee makes you poop. Ever notice how it takes just a few sips of coffee before your stomach starts doing a little dance? You're not alone. Millions of people wake up, take one long inhale of that comforting aroma, sip their favorite roast, and within minutes, they're headed to the bathroom like clockwork. But why? Why does something as simple and comforting as a warm cup of coffee kickstart the most personal biological routine of all? You might think it's the caffeine, or maybe it's just coincidence. But science and your gut says otherwise. There's actually a surprising, complex story happening inside you every time you drink coffee. A story of chemicals, hormones, reflexes, and ancient survival mechanisms. And it all begins the moment that hot brew hits your tongue. In this episode of BrewTok, we're going deep into your digestive system, your brain, and yes, even your colon to figure out why coffee makes you poop. But don't worry, this isn't gross, it's fascinating, it's human. And it might just change how you see your morning cup forever. First, let's get something out of the way. Caffeine is a stimulant. It wakes you up, gets your heart racing, and increases alertness. But here's the twist. Even decaf coffee can make you poop. In multiple studies, both regular and decaf coffee were found to stimulate what's called colonic motor activity, the movement in your colon that helps push waste through your body. So clearly, caffeine alone isn't the full explanation. This is where it gets interesting. Coffee contains over 1,000 different compounds, including acids, oils, and polyphenols that interact with your gut, your brain, and your hormones in complex ways. Let's start with the first reaction, your stomach. Within minutes of drinking coffee, caffeinated or not, your stomach starts producing more acid. Why? Because coffee stimulates the release of gastrin, a hormone that tells your stomach to start contracting and your digestive tract to get moving. Think of gastrin like the internal chef's bell. Hey, food's here. The increase in acid and movement helps with digestion, even if there's no food yet. And this extra movement in the stomach can create a chain reaction further down the digestive line, including the colon. In fact, one study found that coffee increased colon activity 30% more than water and 60% more than a full meal. That's right, coffee can make you go more than eating breakfast does. This is the real kicker. One of the biggest reasons coffee sends you running to the bathroom is something called the gastrocolic reflex. Here's how it works. Whenever you put food or a warm beverage into your stomach, your body sends signals to your colon telling it to make space. This is a natural reflex designed to keep things moving efficiently through your digestive system. But coffee supercharges this reflex. Researchers believe the warmth, acidity, and chemical complexity of coffee all trigger a much stronger gastrocolic reflex than normal food or drink. It's like your digestive system sees coffee coming and says, "Whoa, make way." And what's at the end of that path? Yep, the exit. Let's go one level deeper to the nervous system. You've probably heard of the gut-brain axis, the idea that your digestive system and your brain are in constant communication. Well, coffee plays both sides of that conversation. As you sip coffee, your brain perks up, partially from caffeine, but also from the ritual, the smell, the warmth. That's why people say they can't think until they've had their coffee. But here's the interesting part. As your brain becomes alert, it sends a signal down the vagus nerve, a superhighway that connects your brain to your internal organs. This signal increases activity in your digestive tract. So drinking coffee wakes up your brain, and your brain wakes up your bowels. This creates what some scientists call a neuroenteric loop. Your brain stimulates your gut reacts, your brain notices, and the loop continues until, well, you know what happens. It gets better or stranger depending on how you look at it. Drinking coffee also affects your hormones. For example, hot beverage cortisol. Coffee can increase cortisol, your body's stress hormone. But in the morning, when cortisol is naturally higher, this can amplify your body's sense of urgency, including in your bowels. Hot beverage serotonin. Around 90% of your body's serotonin, the feel-good chemical, is found in your gut. Coffee can increase serotonin transmission, which improves mood and gut motility. Hot beverage cholecystokinin (CCK). This hormone, released when you drink coffee, helps digest fat, but it also causes your colon to contract more quickly. In other words, coffee sets off a hormonal cascade that says, "We're awake, we're happy, we're moving." Now let's talk about your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your intestines. Coffee doesn't just affect you, it affects them too. Coffee contains compounds called polyphenols, which act as prebiotics, food for good bacteria. Some studies have shown that regular coffee drinkers have more diverse and balanced gut bacteria, including species like bifidobacteria, which are linked to better digestion and smoother bowel movements. So when you drink coffee regularly, you're basically training your gut to become more efficient, and your bacteria are cheering you on. But be warned, if you suddenly stop drinking coffee, your microbiome might revolt. Your body has adapted to that daily stimulation. Take it away and things might slow down literally. Here's something important: not everyone feels the coffee bathroom connection. Some people can drink espresso all day and feel nothing. Others are halfway through a latte and already eyeing the nearest restroom. Why? It could be genetics. Some people have more sensitive gut reflexes or hormone responses. Caffeine tolerance. If you drink a lot of coffee, you may build resistance to its stimulating effects. Timing. Coffee has a stronger effect in the morning when your gastrocolic reflex is naturally most active. Food intake. Coffee on an empty stomach may be more powerful than with food. Hydration. If you're dehydrated, coffee might act more like a diuretic and less like a bowel mover. So if your friend races to the toilet while you're sipping calmly, it's just biology. Let's clear up a common question. Does the type of coffee change how it affects your bowels? Short answer, yes, but not in the way you think. Hot coffee tends to have a stronger laxative effect than iced coffee. Why? Because the warmth can stimulate digestion, similar to warm lemon water or tea. Your stomach and intestines respond more quickly to heat, and that kicks the gastrocolic reflex into gear. Iced coffee, while still caffeinated, may delay that response slightly. It's colder, it slows the body's thermal processing, and you often drink it slower. Still effective, just not as dramatic. Now, how about the brew method? Espresso has less volume but more concentrated caffeine. For sensitive people, a double shot might send a very clear message to the bowels. Drip coffee gives you more liquid, which adds hydration, another important factor in digestion. Cold brew is lower in acidity and sometimes in caffeine, depending on the beans and ratio. So if you're not pooping after your cold brew, that could be why. So yes, how you brew it matters. But your personal sensitivity plays the biggest role. Let's bust a few myths. Not quite. While caffeine is a mild diuretic, studies show regular coffee drinkers don't actually lose more fluids than they take in. In fact, coffee contributes to your daily hydration total. You're not drying out your colon. Nope, everyone has a different digestive rhythm. If coffee isn't your laxative, don't panic. Your system might be more responsive to food, fiber, or even movement instead. There's a grain of truth here, but let's clarify. Yes, your body can build a routine around coffee. But it's not a dangerous addiction, it's a learned physiological pattern. Like Pavlov's dogs, your brain links coffee to morning movement, and frankly, that's not the worst ritual to have. We've talked about biology, chemistry, and hormones, but now let's touch on psychology. The act of drinking coffee is more than just consuming a beverage, it's a ritual. When you sit with your mug, you're pausing, you're breathing. You're preparing, and in that moment of calm, your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode, activates. This is when your gut relaxes and starts moving things along. So yes, coffee literally stimulates your colon, but it also mentally invites your body to let go. Ever met someone who gave up coffee and suddenly had bathroom issues? Yep, that's real. When you quit coffee cold turkey, your caffeine levels drop, your colon contracts less. Your brain stops triggering the go signal in the morning. It doesn't mean your body is broken, it just means your routine shifted. You can rebuild your natural rhythm with water, fiber, and time, but don't be surprised if things slow down for a while. Your gut was used to getting a daily wake-up call, and now it's hitting snooze. Okay, let's say you want your coffee to help your gut, but you don't want to be chained to the bathroom. Here are some smart, balanced tips. Drink coffee at a consistent time, preferably morning. Your body loves rhythm. When you align your coffee with your natural circadian rhythm, digestion flows easier. Pair your coffee with breakfast. Food stimulates peristalsis too, the wave-like muscle movement that pushes things along your intestines. Combining food and coffee equals turbo mode. Hydrate, drink a glass of water before or after your coffee. It supports smoother bowel movements and balances out any diuretic effects. Move your body. A walk after coffee can supercharge digestion. Think of it as shaking the snow globe, everything inside gets moving. Watch your dosage, more coffee not equal to more poop. Too much caffeine can cause cramps or diarrhea. 1 to 2 cups is the sweet spot for most people, because what's a BrewTok video without a few fun facts? 2 million views on TikTok and trending hashtags on Twitter, you're not alone. In the 1700s, doctors thought coffee warmed the bowels and prescribed it to treat constipation and melancholy at the same time. A study once compared decaf, regular, and hot water and found decaf coffee still had a laxative effect. It's not just the caffeine, folks. Some cultures use coffee enemas in detox rituals. Not recommended unless you really trust your barista. Respect. So, what did we learn? Coffee doesn't just perk up your brain. It literally moves you body and mind. It's not just caffeine or chemistry. It's rhythm, routine, psychology, and a tiny act of self-care. We chase productivity and speed, but the real magic of coffee is this: it makes us pause. It invites us to start again and sometimes to let go. And maybe, just maybe, that morning poop is the first successful decision of the day. Thanks for joining me on this unusually personal deep dive into the gut-brain-bean connection. If you learned something new or laughed uncomfortably, hit that like button. Subscribe to BrewTok for more caffeinated curiosities, surprising science, and weird truths behind your daily brew. Until next time, keep sipping, keep thinking, and don't trust a decaf that promises too much.